Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Which Certification is Right for You webinar. My name is Bob Collins. I'm the Senior Director of Learning and Development here at ASCM. And joining me today is Gabriella Welch, our Director of Credentialing Services. So what we'll cover today briefly is who is ASCM? We want to take a real brief look at the outlook for supply chain and logistics jobs right now, as I'm certain that's of great importance to you. We'll take a brief look at the APIC certifications and how you would go about preparing for them. And we do have a little bit of time at the end for Q&A. We have received some questions already, so we'll get to those at the end of the presentation. So ASCM, the Association for Supply Chain Management, the global leader in supply chain organizational transformation, innovation, and leadership. We are the largest not-profit supply chain association. We've been around for over 60 years as APICS and changed our names a few years ago to better represent the value proposition that we bring to our members, to our exam candidates, and to the supply chain profession as a whole. We are headquartered in Chicago and happy to share with you today about our certifications. So supply chain is in the news. You know, this is being recorded in October of 2020, and one of the unexpected side effects of the COVID-19 pandemic is that we no longer have to explain what supply chain is, because it's all over the news. You see the article here from Bloomberg, but there have been articles in Forbes, Supply Chain and Retail, Supply Chain Brain, Customer-Centric Supply Chains, Supply Chain Planning Lessons on the Pandemic, on the radio, Financial Times, Insurance Journal. Everybody's talking about supply chain and what we need to do to keep that part of our business growing. We also know that there is a shortage of supply chain professionals out in the workplace. In fact, our CEO, Abe Ashkenazi, has said that the demand for talent is going to be significantly on the backside of this, meaning the pandemic. We're seeing skills and expectations for supply chain increase exponentially. You know, the profession was facing a talent shortage before the pandemic, and now the supply chain has become increasingly important in companies. Supply chain is a strategic advantage for companies, and salaries are commensurate with the importance of these positions. And our research has shown that at least one APIC certification can have a positive effect on your salary, up to 18% more positive. Now, before we get carried away, let me say that the increase in salary does not automatically come with having an APIC certification. Rather, it comes from the knowledge and skills that you learn and validate when you earn your certification, and then putting that knowledge and skills into your job at your workplace. You will be rewarded for the work that you do with these new skills. So Gabby, what certifications and endorsement does ASCM offer to supply chain professionals?
All right. So we have three main certifications: the Certified in Production and Inventory Management, or the CPIM, the Certified Supply Chain Professional, or CSCP, and the Certified in Logistics, Transportation, and Distribution, that's the CLTD. And then we do have the one endorsement, which is the SCORE Professional Endorsement, or the Supply Chain Operations Reference Professional Endorsement. Okay. Next slide. So let's talk a little bit about the APEX certification benefits. We take the guesswork out of determining if an individual has the skills and knowledge to perform certain supply chain functions. We are that unbiased third party validating the mastery of body of knowledge and that you have demonstrated to us that you have really the skills to succeed. And then in addition to knowledge, it also shows that you're innovative, you're collaborative, and you're dedicated to lifelong learning. And I can't tell you how many stories we've heard about our certified members, the recruitment process, the hiring process, and really that the certification helped them stand above their peers. But our certifications not only benefit the individual, it also shows that you are valuable to your employer or your potential employer. So having said that, let's go on to the next slide on the benefits for the companies. So for organizations with employees who've earned an APEX certification, they really can anticipate better alignment of their global supply chains with their business objectives, increased productivity, innovation. And there was a survey conducted by the PricewaterhouseCoopers, and I believe it was the Global Supply Chain Survey. And the survey indicated that companies can expect to achieve 70% higher performance when they focus on supply chain excellence. And then of course, employees who have a certification, they really can effectively demonstrate mastery of the body of knowledge covered by their certification, and they are more often productive and successful in their workplace. And this really just adds to the employer's bottom line, which is really to add stability to the organization, stability to their jobs, as well as opportunities for higher level positions and of course salary increases. So let's take a look at our certifications and endorsements and how a person might choose between them.
Thank you, Gabby. You know, I'm asked often which certification is right for me. I actually have a pretty simple answer for that. I start by asking them where the certification candidate is focused or would like to be focused in their career over the next 5 years. Start with the end in mind and think about where you want to be in 5 years and which certification will help get you there. Before we talk about the specific certifications, I want to talk real briefly about our endorsements. An endorsement is similar to a certification in the sense that there is an acronym that you put after your name after earning this endorsement. But it's much different than a certification in that it is much more focused on a smaller body of knowledge. So in the sense of the SCORE professional, that is focused on the supply chain operations reference model or framework and the metrics that the SCORE framework lays out and teaches you how to implement the framework in a supply chain improvement project. There are a number of benefits to this, especially if you're responsible for improvement projects. There is only one exam and there are no eligibility requirements and no maintenance requirements. So if you have any of these responsibilities, SCORE P might be interesting or right for you. If you're responsible for supply chain performance or involved in supply chain improvement products, then you need to look at SCORE P. Here are some of the key outcomes, those tasks that you should be able to undertake after earning your SCORE professional endorsement. Now, we do have some other credentials that I should mention. They are also endorsements. The Demand-Driven Planner Program, the Demand-Driven Planner Professional, and the Demand-Driven Leader Professional. These endorsements actually come from our partner, the Demand-Driven Institute, or DDI. They offer a full suite of operational, tactical, and strategic educational offerings and professional endorsements that enable a company to sense changes in their supply chain, adapt planning and production, and innovate to market requirements. The Demand-Driven Planner Professional and Demand-Driven Leader Professional are 2 of their endorsement programs. These programs might be the right fit for you if you have any of these responsibilities, including planning, purchasing, supplier relation management, and even production management. After earning a DDI endorsement, you should be able to implement a methodology that will improve on-time delivery, the use of working capital and your planning system overall. In addition, you should be able to reduce lead time, promises to customer, and give your personnel the tools they need to improve the company return on investment, among other things. You can learn more about the DDI program offering on their website, demanddriveninstitute.com. All right, Gabby, why don't we start with CPIM? Would you tell us about that, please?
Thanks, Bob. All right, so let's take a closer look at that CPIM, which is the Certified in Production and Inventory Management. So this is actually for professionals who are focused on improving their company's planning, operations, and inventory management. So if that sounds like you, then I really encourage you to look at the CPIM. The CPIM does have 2 exams. You must successfully pass the 2 exams to earn the credential. But there are no eligibility requirements for that. It does require maintenance to kind of recertify or maintain after 3 years. So if you're looking for knowledge, we do have a training program for the certification, and it's focused on helping you increase your knowledge of production and inventory management, maximize your company's ROI, and really help you learn and understand the tools needed to improve your internal operations. So if you are responsible or you aspire to be responsible for any of the following, then maybe the CPIM may be a great fit for you. So you'll notice a lot of key words here: ERP systems, planning, inventory management, scheduling, measurement capacity. These are key responsibilities the program really revolves around. So take a look at this list and see if this is really right for you. All right, so let's talk about what happens after you earn the certification, or really even after you've completed the training. You'll be able to focus on these outcomes that are important to you and to your company or the company that you want to work for. Things like increase inventory accuracy, manage the elements of planning hierarchy, better productivity from your company's ERP system, improve product flow, and so on. So there's so much richness in this program that if this is the right certification for you, then take that next step. Okay, so now we come to the CSCP. Bob, will you tell us about the Certified in Supply Chain Professional certification?
Absolutely, my pleasure, Gabby. So if your role is the role you aspire to, has a more strategic focus, and your responsibilities include the flow of information, product, or money throughout your end-to-end supply chain, CSCP may be a better choice. The CSCP certification validates mastery of knowledge about the end-to-end supply chain. The CSCP has only 1 exam. There is a 5-year certification maintenance requirement in this certification, just like CPIM. And there are eligibility requirements. We'll look at that in just a moment. But the benefits, of course, includes a breadth across many topics, including globalization, IT enablement, logistics, service industry, and more. So to be eligible for the APIC CSCP, a candidate must meet 1 of the following criteria. They must have 3 years of supply chain related business experience, or a bachelor's degree or the international equivalent, or one of our designations, CPIM, CLTD, CTL, CERM, SCORP, any of these can be at the fellows level. And then of course, CPM, CSM, CPSM from our friends at the Institute for Supply Management. If you have one of these designations, you would automatically be eligible for this as well. There is a note here about the supply chain related business experience. You want to take a look at that because sometimes people ask, I've got this experience, does this count? But the big thing that you need to remember with the eligibility is you can study for the program at any time, but you are not allowed to take the exam and to purchase an exam until you have submitted your eligibility application and then have received that back, the okay back from ASCM. That doesn't take very long, by the way. So who is the CSCP program designed for? Well, if you have any of these following responsibilities, then this is an area that may be useful to you. You'll note that all of these responsibilities revolve around the end-to-end supply chain, from strategy to logistics, from relationship management to understanding supply chain related finance, and most particularly, supply chain best practices and improvement projects. After earning the CSCP, you should be able to do many of the things listed here. Using data to link production, distribution, purchasing, and service, reducing waste in supply chains, and so on. You'll note that these outcomes are very important to the companies you work for or want to work for, especially improving forecasting, reducing waste, better utilizing inventory throughout the supply chain, and better management of supply chain improvement projects, and so on. So Gabby, what about CLTD?
Yes, so the CLTD, or the Certified in Logistics, Transportation, and Distribution, and this is our newest certification, or rather it's 4 or 5 years old. It is focused on the deliver or return functions of your company. So CLTD may be the right choice for you if you're in this world. The CLTD certification, this indicates mastery of day-to-day functions of logistics, distribution, and transportation. So as I mentioned, it's our newest certification. It actually was born out of our merger with the American Society of Transportation and Logistics, or ASTNL. And the CLTD has one exam. There are no eligibility requirements for this. And then, of course, it does require maintenance after a 5-year period. And the CLTD has a deliver and return focus, which will help you gain recognition as a logistics expert, bring new ideas to your workplace, really positively impacting your organization's bottom line, which is so important. And of course, demonstrates the mastery of logistics, transportation, and distribution knowledge and skills. So who is the CLTD program designed for? Well, if you're responsible for any of the following, then the CLTD may be perfect for you. And you will note that these responsibilities revolve around logistics analysis, design, warehouse distribution, in inventory management, global logistics, and of course, reverse logistics. Now, after earning the CLTD, you should be able to do some of the following, improving distribution inventory management, identify and mitigate risk, which is super important, especially during these times, of course. Identify and manage optimal inventory levels, reduce cost and cycle time, and so on. You can see those on the list. And so if those are the outcomes that are important to you or your company, we urge you to take a look at the CLTD program. Okay, so Bob, let's talk about some learning options and really using that to prepare for the exam.
Thank you, Gabby. Yeah, actually, ASCM has developed learning systems for our 3 certification programs. The endorsement programs do require a class that you attend and so on, but the certification programs can be self-study or in a class, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. For all 3 certifications, the affiliated learning systems contain both printed books and web-based study tools. The printed books are also available in an e-reader format online, which can be viewed on any device with an internet connection, and also as a downloadable PDF for online viewing. In the old days, we used to say so you could read it on the plane, but we're not taking that many planes in October of 2020. So the web-based study tools are a collection of educational activities that are designed to work in tandem with the reading materials. The full online suite includes thousands of questions, and all of our systems are developed using a model that puts you on the path to success. I will mention that you may take an exam without going through an ASCM learning system. Not many people do, and our experience is the most successful candidates spend time in the learning system, assuring that they have the knowledge that they need. We have a number of learning options, as I indicated. So we have hundreds and hundreds, almost 800 instructors around the world who work with our North American chapters, for-profit chapters, and international partners. They offer instructor-led classes. Today, many of those instructor-led classes are online, but we look forward to the time when they can be face-to-face, live webinars, or even in a blended fashion. These instructor-led classes provide the structure that a lot of students need with the addition of an instructor who has extensive experience in the supply chain profession and who can help you understand key or confusing concepts and keep you on track in your studies. As I said, classes can be held face-to-face or virtually. I do a lot of work personally with these instructors, and I can tell you that they all came out of or are still working in the supply chain profession, so they know what they're talking about. Currently, we're offering a guided self-study program for our CPIM Part 1 exam, where we provide a syllabus that guides your study over a 6-week period using the learning system, and an instructor who can answer your questions during that time period. So it's kind of a cross between a little bit of instructor-led and a lot of self-study, but you do have that extra structure and extra help. Now, many exam candidates choose to do individual self-study just using the tools in the learning system to track their progress and keep themselves motivated. The individual study allows you to schedule when and where your schedule allows, and includes all the reading and online study tools we mentioned before. Finally, if your company has multiple people that they want to put through one of our exam preparation classes, we encourage you to contact either a local ASCM partner or our corporate development team here at our headquarters. Either can arrange a local or virtual class comprised only of your employees. Our learning systems are built to help you from the first step on your path to certification to sitting for the exam. Follow a simple 4-step approach to make sure that you're ready. Step 1, assess yourself and plan your studies. Again, begin with the end in mind. Create a study plan and assess your strengths and weaknesses. Step 2, study the materials and apply what you've learned through quizzes and online activities. Use your reports to focus on weak areas and sections of the exam weighted higher than others. Step 3, practice for the exam by testing yourself. Our program includes time exam simulator that are very similar to the actual exam experience, and additional support tools so that you can confidently move on to step 4, and that is take the exam. So in the assess activity, you should start by watching the introduction videos and then take the pretest. Now the pretest is weighted to the exam and allows you to assess your current level of understanding. After taking the pretest, you can input your results into the Smart Study tool, indicate your level of comfort, and then a personalized timed study plan is computed for you. Using this tool gives you a plan from start to finish based on the time you have available for studying and will also help you focus on the areas of most need. I encourage my candidates and students to do this even if they're going to be in a class, because this will give you valuable information to show you where you really need to pay closer attention to make sure that you understand concepts that you may not already have. Once you've assessed your strengths and weaknesses and created a study plan, you can move to the study phase. During this phase, you will start by reading the materials based on your study plan. After you've read the appropriate session, watch and relevant content videos and complete any online quizzes or learning activities. Once you've completed those, you can review your online reports and take notes on the sections where you had the lowest scores and review the rationale for questions you got wrong. Take this time to review the flashcards for key terms and use references from the online resource center. One question we get a lot is, how long will it take me to study for the exam? Of course, that answer varies a lot depending on the student. However, overall, the certifications usually take at least 100-hour investment time. Although that number may sound daunting, remember that the SMART study plan is there to help you break it down into a manageable project. Once study efforts are completed, you'll move to the practice phase of the learning system. This includes final efforts to make sure that you are prepared for the certification exam. Final tests are included in this phase to check for mastery, including a post-test and practice exams. The post-test has the same features as the pre-test and other quizzes, with rationales and answers provided as they are encountered. The practice exam, pictured here, works a bit differently. It simulates the exam experience. This means there is a timer and the ability to flag questions for review. As you answer questions, no right or wrong will be indicated and no rationale will be provided during the test. Once the test is submitted for marking, you can review each individual question and see this information. There are also a multitude of tools available to help you get in the right mindset and teach you techniques for taking the exams. Be sure to utilize these tools before you sit for the exam. Once you are finished with your review, then it's time to take the exam. Gabby, can you talk a little bit about that final part of the process?
Absolutely. Thanks, Bob. So for APIC certifications, the exams are actually offered at Pearson VUE testing centers worldwide. And most recently, we also have begun providing candidates with the opportunity to take it as an online proctored. So really at the comfort of your own home or your office, really due to some of the COVID regulations. So once you complete your exam, either at a testing center or online, you'll immediately receive your score report, so you don't have to wait for that. And individuals have the best chance of achieving their goal to become certified when they plan their exam, they schedule it at a Pearson VUE. So once you obtain your authorization to test, or ATT, go ahead and schedule your exam in the future. Then you can prepare, you have a goal in mind, and it really just puts that stake in the ground for a goal to work towards. Now, we do have an exam handbook, and you'll see the link on the screen. And that not only walks a candidate through the exam process, but it also helps you prepare for the day of the exam, or what to expect on the day of the exam. So I encourage you, even before you're going to schedule your exam or purchase the learning system, go ahead and review that handbook. It really has some helpful information and really helps you to prepare for the certification. So before we move on to our final section of the webinar, Bob, can you talk about how some of our candidates have funded their exams?
Absolutely. So we all know that every great investment, and this is definitely an investment in you and your career, investments need seed money to start. So here are some of the key ways many of our exam candidates have attained the funds that they needed to prepare for the CPIM exam. So for some people, they have a corporate tuition reimbursement available to them. You may check your HR department to see how that would work. Other companies actually create or provide corporate training for these exams. There may be tax breaks for the education. Your training may qualify for tax breaks like the American Opportunity Tax Credit or the Lifelong Learning Credit. So you'll have to investigate those options at the irs.gov website. Now, there are job training programs, especially today, by the states, by several states, and of course, potentially military benefits. So you'll want to, if you think you qualify for those, you'll want to take a look at that as well. We do allow the PayPal payment plan if that's of interest to you. And of course, there can be bulk purchase discounts if you have a friend or colleague who is also interested in earning their certification. You may be able to save some money when you order 2 or more learning systems at the same time. But Gabby, I believe we have an additional way that students can save on their certification investment right now.
Yes, thank you, Bob. So I'm sure you all are very excited. I know when we do these webinars and we have these discounts, we're excited. But we are offering discounts on our courseware to anyone who's registered for this webinar. And you can save 10% on your learning system or your bundle purchase through October 31st, 2020, using the promo code webinar10 at the checkout process.
Very good. So please take advantage of that offer. It won't be there for long. You know, after the webinar, if you're still not sure which certification is best for you, and it may be something that you need to give serious thought to, especially in regard to where you would like to be in the next 5 years and which one would help you get there most quickly. You may also still be wondering about which learning option would be best, whether self-study or a class. Can you find a class nearby, or how do you learn online? But as you think through these things, we suggest that you also visit our website, where there is a tool that can help potential candidates to navigate through these certifications and Score P and the various ways that you might prefer to learn the material, either through a class, self-study, or online. That piece of the web site is called Which Program is Right for You, and it will take you through these options. So Gabby, we said we had a couple of questions we were going to try and finish up with.
Yes. So thank you everyone who submitted questions with your registration. Please note that everyone who did register for this webinar will receive the webinar recording via email. So if you did not have the chance to watch this, you're going to get an email with that recording, and then you can watch it at your convenience. But we do have a couple of questions. The first question is, can I review the content of the learning system before deciding to make a purchase? Absolutely. We know this is a big decision, not just in the purchase, but also in your career. And so we do have an online demo for the learning systems that you can review. And we also have a free preview, so you can actually get into that learning system and view a segment of the content, really get familiar with it and see if you're comfortable with it. We also have a Take 5 practice questions, like, are you ready to begin your program and your studies? And these links are all included on ascm.org/CPIM, but we'll also email all the registered attendees with the resources like following the webinar. All right, so another question we have is, what certification is best for fresh college graduates with less than 2 years of experience? Bob, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, Gabby, that'd be fine. So again, I'm always asking the question, where do you want to focus your career? So for most college graduates, you would, with less than 2 years of experience, you would want to focus on either the CPIM or the CLTD. The CPIM will give you a great deal of information about how the company you work for works, from the planning at the top through S&OP, through the planning all the way down to the production schedule on the floor, how to manage inventory, all the things your company needs to do day to day in an efficient way. And you would help the companies improve those processes, save the company money, and so on. So if that sounds like you, then CPIM is definitely it. Now, the other certification we recommend for new college graduates is the CLTD, and that really is for people that plan to go into or see themselves going into warehousing, distribution, transportation. It may be that you're at that far end of the supply chain between the company and the customer. This CLTD would certainly help you there, especially in regard to sustainability and the return of goods and that kind of thing, the reverse supply chain, the circular supply chain. All of those things would help with the CLTD.
Thank you, Bob. So you did touch on this next question a little bit, but maybe you can elaborate, which is, what's the recommended length of time to study before the exam?
Well, what we've found is that candidates that are most successful spent in the neighborhood of 100 hours before actually sitting for the exam. Now, that could include a class. So one of the things that we really want people to think about is if they take a class, and we certainly recommend it. We've got wonderful instructors with great experience who can guide you through this material. But they're not going to teach you everything you know. They don't know what the exam questions are either. So they're going to teach you all the stuff you need to know, and but it's going to be a required on you to spend time between classes and after class to continue to prepare for this. Now, that doesn't have to be all done at once, obviously. The Smart Study tool will help you plan out over a period of time based on how much time you have available and when you want to take the exam to spread that out. I am going to just real briefly re-emphasize something that Gabby said just a few moments ago. Again, begin with the end in mind. When you decide to get this program and you either register for a class or purchase a learning system, we really encourage you to go ahead and schedule your exam out. You can schedule an exam out as far as 6 months. And if you've got that stake in the ground, you've got something to work for, something to work toward, you'll be more likely to complete your studies and finish. And that's what we want. We want successful ASCM certification candidates out in the workforce, helping their companies and helping the entire economy through this effort.
Thanks, Bob. And I think we have time for one more question, which is, how many tries do you get to pass the exam? So hopefully you are successful on the first attempt, but we do know things happen, especially, you have a large workload, going through COVID, or maybe you just had some difficulty in studying. And so there are some options for you. Once you obtain your authorization to test, that is valid for just one attempt. But we know that sometimes you may need another one. So we do offer a discounted retake exam for all of our programs. And so again, hopefully you don't need it, but you have that discount available to you. There is no limit on how many times you can actually retake the exam if you're not successful, but we do require a 14-day waiting period to be able to test again. And that does a few things. It helps with item exposure, really reducing that, but really it helps you look at your score report to see the areas of maybe the areas of improvement, areas to really focus on for the next exam program. It also allows you the opportunity that if you've gone through an instructor-led program, you can reach out to them and ask them some questions as far as, you know, those content areas that you may need some assistance on. So again, there's no limit. We do offer a retake discount, but again, hopefully you won't need that and you'll be successful the first time. We also have some of our bundled products may provide you with a what we call a second chance exam. And so what that is you'll get the learning system, you'll get the exam, plus you'll get kind of some insurance with that, if you will. So if there is some restrictions to that, but if you're not successful the first time, we'll automatically provide you with a second chance exam or a free authorization for you to go ahead and be able to take that. Really just offers you some comfort and some peace of mind for that. So I would encourage you to look at that and see what options are right for you.
Absolutely, and be sure to look for that phrase second chance exam because it's only available on certain bundled products right now. So if you have other questions that haven't been answered today, you might want to check out our website. As always, you can reach out to our customer support team at support@ascm.org. You can ask them specific questions, which they can answer or pass on to someone who can better answer your question. We're happy to hear from you. Thank you for your time today. We do appreciate your willingness to sit through this, and I hope that you've gotten some of the answers to the questions you're looking for, and we look forward to seeing you at a later date. All content and materials included in this webinar are the property of ASCM and are protected by the United States and international copyright laws. All rights reserved.